Why, hello friends, it's Melanie from Lazy Dirt Wildflower Farm. Today, it is going to be another record breaker, over 90 degrees. I think we're looking at 96 with humidity levels being very high in the 70s. And that means that our temperatures here in Mexico, New York, are going to feel like they're 102. So I thought I would share with you my delight about this hot weather. Now, as you know, I've given up growing our plants in plastic pots. And normally, when it gets hot like this, I would be out here several times a day with checking on plants and watering them in. And all of my plants, if they were in plastic pots, because I am a small backyard licensed nursery, would normally, if they were in plastic pots, be in kiddie pools underneath my maple trees. Now that's a lot of work in the heat. It's a lot of preparation. And this is the first year since I opened in 2021 that I have not done that. I cannot begin to tell you. I could almost cry because that is so much work. And I have to share my amazement and my delight about the wool pots. I cannot begin to tell you how much they have changed how I grow plants. All of these plants, like this beautiful tufted hair grass I'm going to show you, are in wool pots. Look at this. Look how healthy this plant is. Now, this was transplanted as a one-year-old plant back in late April. And look at the condition of the wool pot. Look at these healthy roots. This wool pot holds moisture. It's damp. And I have not watered out here in 3 days. And it has been hot. Yes, it is still. Look at the soil. It's still damp because the wool is holding onto water. The wool is actually feeding the plant. And look at this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous foliage on this tufted hair grass. Look, it's even giving us seeds. Absolutely wonderful. No transplant shock from me putting the small plant into the wool pot. No transplant shock when it goes into the ground. And I'm going to show you another benefit. Hold on. Hold the line, caller, because you're not going to believe this when I show you. I mean, I'm just, the health of these plants in this high heat is all because of the wool pots. Normally, when I had my plants in plastic pots, I would have had to, like I said, move them all. They would be dry. The soil would be so dry, even on my lavender plants. Now, these last year when I grew these, this time last year, they were in plastic pots. I had to come outside, even though lavender likes less water, I still had to come out here several times a day to check on them. And the pots would be dry. Nothing that I did changed it. And I can't tell you how much water I used with those plastic pots. Now with the wool pots, again, I have not watered these plants yet. I watered everybody on Saturday morning and again early on Sunday morning before the heat wave. And they are, look at this, they are still moist. The wool is still moist. The gray is just because these have been in here for a few weeks and are starting to decompose after about a month and a half, which is natural. But look, I'm getting blooms, for goodness sake. Look how healthy these lavender are. They're not dried out at all. Look, I think I have to start pinching them back. Look at this. I'm speechless. Okay, well, maybe not speechless, but I will tell you I am stunned because this week I thought when I saw the high temperatures coming, I thought, well, this is the week we're really going to test some wool pots and their ability to hold moisture. And they have exceeded every single expectation that I had. When I water the wool pot, I'm just taking them off, and I put them into a tote, and I water from the bottom. And once the wool is soaked and I see that the soil is nice and damp, I pull them, and up here they go. That's it. I can't tell you, being on a well in a rural area, I cannot begin to tell you how vital this is. I wish I had a way to measure how much less water I'm using from nature. It's astounding. Just astounding. And my tender seedlings, so these were started from seed this past March and put into the wool pots. They are just, look how healthy they are. These are prairie coneflowers, by the way. Super, super beneficial for pollinators. But look how healthy those seedlings are. And these little guys are out here in full sun. I'm not shading them. They take heat. And they are doing magnificently. They are laughing in the face of a heat wave. Well, we're a day short of a heat wave, but it's still hot out here. It's still very, very humid this week. And look, they're happy. They're happy plants. Ta-da! And look at this. This is lemon balm. Not a native, but I love to grow it because we all need some lemon balm tea on hot summer days with a little bit of mint. Look at this plant. It's huge in this little pot. Look at this. Oh, so happy. And if you didn't think that was enough evidence of a happy plant in a heat wave sitting in wool pots, here's one of my best examples I can give you. So this was a 1-year-old, very small seedling of lance leaf coreopsis. This actual plant was under about 8 months old. Very, very small seedling. I potted it up into the wool pot to go out on the bench, of course. Probably I put the little seedling in there in early May. And it is now 3 feet tall and blooming. Hello, sunshine. Look at this. All of this in the little wool pot. I mean, and the wool pot's still moist. And it's still growing. And there's no roots yet. It's happy. It's probably about to, any day now, there's a couple little roots on the bottom. So if I planted that today, or after the heat wave's over, look at all the blooms I'm going to get. And you know why I'm still going to get blooms? Because there's no transplant shock. There'll be no transplant shock. If this was in a plastic pot, you've all done it. I've done it too. Gone to a nursery and bought a beautiful blooming plant only to have it stop blooming and most likely die once you plant it. That's not going to happen to this lance leaf coreopsis. Oh no, darling. You are not going to die. You may fall over because I'm touching you. Not touching you. Not touching. Not touching. But look at this. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I mean, I may have to harvest flowers off of this thing. Someone please come and bring this plant home because it's just absolutely stunning. Stunning. Look at all the blooms on this thing. All in the little wool pot. And look, I gave it a special dish because he was so special. Sunshine and happy hour. Maybe that's why he's so happy. He's in a wool pot with no plastic and super, super happy. Super happy. Look at this bloom. Oh, just can't get enough of this bloom. As I fumble with my camera. Here's a close-up. Mwah, darling. You're fabulous. And here is a great example. I have this up on the bench for people to see how to plant your wool pot. So what I would do is if I was lucky enough to come to the farm and get that beautiful coreopsis, I would put it in the ground up to this level. It will slowly biodegrade. We'll put some, so you can see, it slowly biodegrades. Slugs and snails can't get past this. And the wool holds in moisture. So while you have planted your plant in the wool pot, and we get a little bit of heat, your wool pot is not only feeding your plant, it's holding in moisture for your plant during heat waves. I mean, you're still going to water it in and all that, but you have to use less water because the wool is going to hold in water and moisture for you. You know, still check it every day. I've been checking my dahlias, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this is how you plant them. Super, super easy, and look how healthy this plant is. I mean, the camera's not doing it justice for the color. I mean, this is probably the healthiest great blue lobelia I have grown ever. They're super, super healthy. Oh, the color, just gorgeous. So I did a little experiment with the dahlias that I'm growing for a bride. And some of the dahlias that I'm growing for me, like these beautiful September morn dahlias. So these dahlias were planted in, grown out in wool pots. I put the tuber, you can see the tuber right there. I put the tuber in, started them inside. Actually, this poor little guy got eaten. He had a really rough start a few weeks ago. But now, look at him. He's fabulous. And the wool keeps the slugs and snails off of him. And look, it's holding in moisture. So when I come in here next to the root, that's all moist in there. The rest of the soil is dry, but a foot away from it, there's moisture. I stick my finger in there. It's nice and cool in the bottom where the roots are. So he's doing very well. And then look at this one. Look at the roots. Stick my finger in. Lots of moisture. It's holding in moisture for the dahlias. And as you know, if you're a dahlia grower, you know that dahlias need moisture at the roots, not up at the top. They love heat, like hot days like today, but they like moisture down at the roots. So the wool pot is actually holding in moisture for my dahlias, except for the little naughty weeds that keep coming up. But this is moist, and I haven't watered. I have not watered these plants. I watered them as usual on Sunday, and that's it. And they are super, super moist in the compost, and this is still moist down low. Amazing. And look at the health of this plant. Yeah, that was just planted out here a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's already over a foot tall, which dahlias tend to grow pretty quick in the heat, but I'm very impressed because look at the color. The camera's not doing this justice. It is a very deep green for a September morn dahlia. Now I see you probably see this tag over here. This is the experiment, friends. All these were planted in wool pots. Now this is the only one that had an issue because, I'm going to be honest, I broke off the sprout by accident. So he had a rough start when he got out here. Now this one over here, this poor September morn dahlia that I sacrificed was planted without a wool pot. I know. I might dig him up, put him in a wool pot, and see how he does. But look, oh, he is slug ravaged. When I go in here, it's dry along his roots. Very, very, very dry. Look at this. Super dry soil. And he's really struggling. So I think I'm going to pull him out of there this morning. And we'll do another experiment. Can we rescue a plant with a wool pot? We shall see, friends. That will be the experiment. But look at the difference. A wool pot. No wool pot. No moisture, no fertilizing from the wool, no protection from the wool from slugs, and it's not getting the protection it needs for the roots in the soil either, that comes from the wool biodegrading naturally and feeding the poor plant. So we're going to pull that poor plant today, I am. Put him in a wool pot. I'll take some pictures of him, and I'll keep you updated how he adjusts to being in the protection of a wool pot. That'll be an interesting experiment, won't it? In the meantime, it's starting to get warm out here. Even the poor penstemons are starting to go, what is going on? Too hot. Too hot. There we go. That's a better view of the penstemon patch. These are a mix of calico and Penstemon digitalis, Penstemon calicois, and Penstemon digitalis. You can tell the difference between them because the calico penstemon is shorter in the back, purple, and the Penstemon digitalis is whiter and taller. How's that for fun? Anyway, back to the wool pots. I'm going to go actually inside today, sow some more seeds. I might do that live. I don't know. It depends on the heat. And bask in the glory that my plants in wool pots are doing fabulous and laughing in the face of the heat. Yes, they are. To find out more about wool pots, go to my website, lazydirtflowerfarm.com, and click on wool pots to bring some home to your garden for all your summer propagating needs. Yes, friends, now is when we propagate for next year from cuttings and also seeds like biannuals. Biannuals. It's getting hot. I'm getting punchy. Anyway, check out my wool pots link on my website, lazydirtflowerfarm.com, and see how wool pots can help you and your baby plants laugh in the face of heat waves. Yes, grow on, friends. Grow on. From Melanie and the plants, stay cool. Stay